Yo, welcome everyone, Sanju Chia here. So, unfortunately, no live reaction for God of High School this week. And if I could probably just push out a notice ahead of time, probably there won't be any live reaction next week. Probably. We'll see. Kinda having a little few issues I'm dealing with here. But furthermore, getting into this week's episode, yo, dog. God of High School is just too fresh, brother. Yo, I really enjoyed this episode again this week. Like, just the animation and the freshness and the cleanness. Yo, God of High School. Now, get into what actually happened. This episode centered around the match between Gamdo and Kang Mansiok. Hopefully, I got those names right. Don't, don't crucify me. But yeah, we had the match between those two and a bit of us getting more into the backstory of one of our or some of our main characters. Now, the thing is, what I really like about this episode on our surface level is that it doesn't really bring the fast pacing or the fast pace of the first episode to a screeching halt. It doesn't really do that at all. It's not as fast, but it still does the trick in terms of maintaining the progression of the preliminaries while starting to set up things for our main characters in terms of their motivations, as well as give some subtle hints of some stuff that's going on in the background, which is more or less a follow-up of the first scene that we got from last week's episode, where we had those guys on the island get annihilated out of nowhere. So there was that. So on a surface level, that made the episode pretty much work for me. Now, in terms of the nitty-gritty or the specifics for the episode, now the first half is more so dedicated to the backstory, slightly, just not much, but there's a slight touch on the backstories and the motivations of our characters, all while that ending from last week was just a big tease between Jin Mori and Kang, where we don't actually get to see what happens initially, but we eventually get to see that Mira totally just interrupted the match at the last moment there. We find out that she actually came in and broke Jin's neck, which is wild to me. Apparently, she was trying to get back her sword, and because she can't see because her glasses were taken out from last episode, she thought Jin was Kang and just broke his neck. And that kind of had a double purpose of establishing really how far these nanomachines can go in terms of their recovery and how much they can heal the fighters. They did say last episode that everyone can go all out, don't worry about injuries, but having a broken neck and have it be fixed in no time at all, I think that really helps to solidify that these nanomachines are really something else. And even though it wasn't like too much in your face in terms of it being a big point in this episode, the fact that Han in this episode actually just one line, just kind of like, well, probably a few lines, kind of just made mention towards it. It kind of has me interested in seeing what's the origin, what's the source, what was the process developing technology like this. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a plot point going forward. So there's that. No, as I said, we also get some details in terms of the backstory of our main characters, specifically with the least being the main character himself, Jin Mori. Of course, as I'm sure a lot of persons expected, he fights because he wants to, get the experience of fighting strong guys all over the world, kind of Goku-ish. But I'm kind of pretty sure there's going to be more to it than that, given the flashback in episode 1 with his grandfather. So yeah, of course we have Han, who obviously based on the those flashbacks that we got there, he's obviously fighting to get money for an operation for a relative, it seems. I would imagine it's his mom or grandmother, but of course he doesn't really say that outright. He just says money. And of course Mira, she's trying to revive her dojo. The thing is about shows like this, what I kind of like is that since it's centered around fighting, the motivations for the characters in terms of like why they fight and how they handle fighting and how they deal with interacting with other persons with different fighting styles and the reasons why other persons fight, it really gets to show you, it's really a way to show you how their personality is, how their character is. Even though it's fighting, it really shows you all of that outside of fighting in terms of their mindset inside and outside of fighting. And I think this episode kind of touched on that, and I'm kind of expecting more of that for this series. And obviously it's to be expected, but it's just something I have to point out all the same, because even towards the fight with Gamdo and Kang, the way that Kang, it was a major theme for this episode in terms of, you know, why these characters fight and respecting their art, their trade, martial arts. Where Gamdo, even though he got his he got his ass kicked by Kang in this episode, we see him have absolutely no respect for Kang in this episode, as well as after a while we see Jin Mori also finding himself not having any respect for Kang, and that's how he carries himself about. So it kind of goes back to what I'm saying, that the whole theme is that with series like this is that how the characters operate regarding their fighting style and their approach to fighting and why they fight, it tells you something about their characters outside the ring as well. So that's what it really came down to for this episode, and that's why I felt Jin Mori, even though Ango Gamdo, they didn't really resonate or respect Kang in this episode. And of course, we got some flashbacks with Kang in this episode as well, which kind of signified or showcased why he chose to take up or why he fights the way he fights. It's because of some trauma he has in the past. So of course that does line up with what I'm saying as well. So there's that. Of course, the animation and the choreography and everything was super clean for this episode. Like, yo, Jano, the fight between Gamdo and Kang, clean. And the fact that we had Jin coming in there, just yo, renewment taekwondo, yo, that is just clean, brother, trust me. Of course, we eventually do get Park Mujin coming in, finally made his way to the preliminaries to stop to stop Jin from interfering with the match. Well, after he basically took out Kang. And of course, that's where the episode ends. For the most part, we did have that scene where I said it kind of followed up from last week's episode, where we had Mujin basically go to this seemingly government institution to introduce himself. So it kind of shows that there's something building in the background of the tournament, which I'm sure we'll get more information on as we go along. But for the most part, it was a pretty decent episode, honestly. It didn't bring the pace into a slow halt, because the thing is, I have been hearing that there has been cut material when you really compare this to the manhwa, the webcomic. And that's obvious since, you know, for example, Jin keeps bringing up the fact that he had a match with the blonde hair administrator, which was in the webcomic, so I hear. But stuff like that, as long as they incorporate it at some point, then fine. But you know, you gotta ease into it based on how fast they started episode 1. So for the most part, I liked it, loved it, love how they're exploring and start building into how we're going to really dissect and approach the characters in terms of getting an emotional attachment towards them for the most part. So yeah, but all in all, that's all I have for this one. Apologize again for no no live reactions this week. So yeah, might not do any live reactions for the next week or two at most, but after that I should be clean and ready to up the live reactions again if it is something you guys have been enjoying. So yeah, Sanju Chia, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought about God of High School episode 2. Of course, if you haven't heard the news, I also got into Black Clover. I've been reading the manga, recently started the anime. So I'll link those videos at the end here, and of course you can let me know what you think about those as well. But anyway, hope you guys are having a great day. I'll see you in the next God of High School video.